Starting on the 31st of December, I'll be doing 50 marathons in 50 days. That is 50 consecutive marathons, which will be a grand total of about 2,200 kilometers and about 300 kilometers weekly mileage. It is a big challenge, big undertaking, but I'm looking forward to the challenge and see how it will unfold and how my body, how I will react to it, and all of the ups and downs that will come with it. One of the main reasons why I'm doing this is because of the time of the year that's in it. But the new year is just around the corner. A lot of people will be making New Year's resolutions. And for a lot of people, those resolutions will be fitness related. And like many others, I have made such commitments, such resolutions previously myself. One resolution, however, stands out the most to me, and that was the one I made 2 years ago.
How much one change in a year when it comes to fitness if you're completely focused on that goal?
Little did I know at the time, but that resolution, that New Year's challenge completely changed my life. As I went from somebody who has never run a marathon to completing several marathons, completing Ironman, ultramarathons, and then most recently running the entire length of Ireland. And it all started with one New Year's resolution. Seeing how much that one single New Year's resolution has helped me, not just from the point of view of physical well-being, but also specifically from the mental well-being. I want to encourage as many people as possible to get engaged in physical activities and push themselves this year. I understand that the challenges that I set for myself and challenges that I do are quite over the top, they're quite a lot, but it is not trying to get people to do 50 marathons in 50 days, but trying to push outside of the comfort zone and trying to do as much as they can themselves at any given time. Because I honestly believe by going outside of your comfort zone and pushing yourself, you learn so much about yourself, and that only stands to you going forward. So with this challenge, I want to encourage people to go out and push themselves for those 50 days. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit, but with 50 days you can solidify that habit into your lifestyle and make it completely effortless going forward. All the 50 marathons will be open to public to join, so if you want to join, you can come along and run with me. I'll be posting the locations and the times as the challenge unfolds. And by no means do I expect people to run the entire marathon with me, be it in person or virtually. Do whatever is comfortable to you, be it 5K, 10K, or even 1K. We all have to start somewhere. It is much more important about staying consistent over these 50 days rather than trying to go out on day one from 0 to 100 and injure yourself right away. The way I see this challenge and the way I'm approaching it, each day is an opportunity to collect a small win. And the more wins you collect, the bigger the reward you get at the end. And that's one of the reasons why I'm starting on the 31st of December and not the 1st of January. Is that because when it comes to New Year, on the 1st of January, you would already have at least one win behind you. So you would already enter in the new year on a win. So you'll be more likely to stay consistent and keep that winning streak going. However, when it comes to actual 50 marathons, 50 days challenge for myself, I understand it will be very, very difficult. I understand it's going to be a different type of endurance to the Project 555, because with 555, it was over the span of 5 days, and if there was any injury or anything like that, I was able to just push through it, knowing that once the 5 days are over, that's it, and I would be able to deal with any ongoing injury or anything like that after the project. With the 50 marathons in 50 days, because it is such a long time span, a small niggle on day 3 or 5 or something like that, if it's not treated right away, if it's not like looked at immediately, it can compile, and by the time it comes around to day 15 or 20, that can become a major issue. So recovery and looking after the body will be at the forefront of this challenge. Realistically speaking, compared to 555, where I had 20 weeks of training leading into the actual project, 555 only finished up maybe less than 2 months ago. So I haven't had that much time to properly prep as I was still recovering. It's only been the last 2 weeks that I've been back to doing more than 100K per week. So with the body still recovering and the body not having ample of time to adapt to higher mileage, I'm expecting the first few weeks to be very, very difficult because body hasn't had a chance to get used to the higher loads again and it's still recovering. So those two factors will play a major role in how this project unfolds. My current hypothesis is that if you're to draw a graph here, from day 1 till about day 12, I'm expecting everything to be going downhill because the body will be trying to get used to the new volume. It won't have had that much time to get used to the increase in volume, so we'll be fighting and going all downhill. From day 12 till about day 15, 16, I'm expecting there to be a bit of a acclimatization period where the body will be trying to adapt and slowly get used to the volume. From day 16 onwards, that is my hypothesis at least, I'm hoping it to go slightly better with each day, as the body would have had time over the past 2+ weeks to deal with increased load. Now, that's my hypothesis. All of this hypothesis is based on my training camp number 2 from Project 555, where over the course of 9 days, I was doing an average of a marathon a day, where I saw that from day 1 till about day 7 or 8, it was all going downhill. And then gradually from day 7 onwards, it was miraculous recovery and I was back to doing 50, 60K. It wasn't completely effortless, but it was manageable. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for 50-50. To preface that, before the training camp number 2, I did have about 15 weeks of training, whereas leading to 50-50, I would only have about 3-4 weeks of proper training. So that hypothesis could be completely incorrect. Now, there are a few other things compared to Project 555 that should play in my favor. During Project 555, there was a huge issue of sleep deprivation. So during days 1 and 2 of Project 555, I slept maybe about 2 hours each of the days. And then from day 3 onwards, it was really just like 10-minute power naps every 40-50 kilometers. So by the time it came around to the last day, I was completely shattered. My body haven't had any chance to properly recover. And that's where a lot of the problems unfolded. With 50-50, the marathon shouldn't take longer than 4 to 5 hours, hopefully. Perhaps maybe closer to 6 hours if things go very, very south. But it should be still manageable enough. At the worst case scenario, I should have about 18 hours of time to recover, get my calories in and sleep. Now, another thing when it came to Project 555 was that it was very difficult for me to get the calories in to sustain myself. During 555, I was burning an average about 13 to 14,000 calories a day, and it was just very difficult to get that many calories in and keep running. And at most, I was able to get about 9 to 10,000 calories. Another thing was that whilst I was running the 555, I was not really able to get any solids into myself. So all those calories came from liquid form, mostly from maltodextrose. Now, when it comes to 50-50, during the actual run, I'll be still relying on liquid calories, but thereafter I'll have 18 hours to get proper solid food into myself and make sure that I'm actually in caloric balance or even in surplus to ensure I'm not losing any weight. Because that was another thing that kind of compiled during the 555. By the time I got to the end of the project, or the end of the 570 kilometer run, I lost almost 3.5-4 kg. Not all of that was glycogen loss or fat loss. A lot of it was muscle loss as well. So I'm hoping to avoid all of that by having plenty of calories coming in after the run is completed. So that'll be a major focus for myself. Now, another major thing that should play in my favor when it comes to 50-50 compared to 555 is the point of logistics. During 555, I had to be constantly on the go, moving towards my goal of Malinhead. And because I was constantly moving, there was an issue of trying to find meeting points where I could find my team to refuel, get the calories in and stuff like that, which meant there could have been hours on end where I didn't see anyone or didn't have sufficient calories coming in. So that was a problem on its own. When it comes to 50-50, the logistics themselves should be slightly more simpler, as the running route should be looped, be a 5 or 10K loop, which would make the refuels and nutrition much more straightforward. And also there won't be an issue of trying to find me, as I'll be coming around to the same point every 5 or 10K, depending on the route that I'm taking. That being said, there will be a few days I'll be traveling and flying, which would make the recovery slightly more difficult, but it won't be anywhere as bad as it was during the 555. Now, even though I do have these points playing into my favor going into 50-50, I cannot undersell the point that it is much more different type of endurance. If something happens on day 1 and it's not addressed properly, come day 3, 4, 5 onwards, that could be a major issue. It's going to be a huge ramp up in volume, but as I explained, I'm hoping the first 2 weeks or so going all downhill, and hopefully after that my body should get used to that. That is my hypothesis. I could be completely incorrect and I could be paying the price from day 1 to day 50, but that is the risk I'm willing to take. So going into a new challenge so close after the 555 could be a silly thing to do. But that being said, I am extremely looking forward to this challenge. I'm looking forward to the highest of the highs, lowest of the lows, because I know one thing that I learned from the 555 was that when you are pushing your limits, when you go outside of your comfort zone, you learn so much about yourself, and it is something I'm looking forward to with this challenge, trying to see where my limits lie, how much I can push myself, and just like learn those things about myself, and just embracing the new challenge and everything that comes with it, and bring you along with me.